Sophie moved into her new apartment, enjoying a fresh start. The spacious room, light walls, and large window created a cozy atmosphere, but after a few nights, she began to notice something strange. Every night when she went to bed, a shadow appeared on the wall opposite the bed. At first, she thought it was just a trick of the light from the street lamp shining through the window. But one day, she realized that this shadow was not ordinary. It looked like a face, strange, too elongated, with a wide smile that lacked something human. "What is it?" she muttered, turning on the light. When the lamp lit up, the shadow disappeared. But as soon as she turned off the light again, the shadow returned, and the smile seemed wider, and the eyes, empty and deep, looked straight at her. Sophie tried to convince herself that it was just her imagination. "It's just a reflection," she said out loud, but her voice trembled. However, each night the shadow became more distinct. One night, waking up with a strange feeling that someone was looking at her, Sophie turned her head and saw the shadow begin to move. Each time the shadow became more and more frightening. The smile that seemed painted on now looked alive. Its edges reached almost to the ears, and the eyes, once blurry, now resembled black holes. Sophie tried to ignore it. She covered the window with thick curtains, moved the lamp to change the play of light, but the shadow still appeared in the same place. "You're not real," she whispered, turning to face the wall. But she felt her words losing confidence. One night, she noticed that the smile began to move. At first, it was a barely noticeable curve, as if the shadow was smiling wider. Then teeth appeared, long, sharp, distorted. Sophie could no longer sleep. Every time she turned off the light, she felt how this shadow came to life. One night, lying in bed, she could not stand it and turned on the flashlight. But now the face did not disappear. It wasn't on the wall, but in a corner of the room, as if it had stepped out of its flat shadow. The smile had become unrealistically wide, and the eyes, filled with endless darkness, looked straight at her. "What are you?" Sophie breathed out, barely breathing. In response, the room filled with quiet laughter. The face began to approach, as if slipping out of the darkness itself, and its smile filled her entire head. Every night it became closer. Sophie couldn't sleep anymore. The smile grew closer every night, filling her thoughts even during the day. She saw it in the mirror, in the reflection on the glass, even for a moment in her own face, when she washed herself in the bathroom. She tried to find an explanation. She turned off the electricity, thought it was a problem with the light, called friends to stay with them. But the smile was everywhere. It followed her, as if the shadow had become a part of her. One night, when Sophie could no longer resist the fear, she decided to talk to the entity. "What do you want?" she asked, sitting on the bed and looking straight into the dark corner where the smile appeared. This time she didn't turn on the light. She knew it wouldn't help. The silence lasted for a few seconds, but then the smile grew wider. It stirred as if laughing, and from the darkness came a quiet, deep voice. "You know what I want." "No," Sophie whispered, retreating to the wall. "You're mine," the smile hissed, moving closer to her. Sophie screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the sound of laughter that filled the room. The face was now right in front of her, its dark eyes absorbing everything around it. She felt her body begin to grow cold. The walls of the room melted into darkness, and everything around her disappeared. The last thing she saw was a smiling face, which became her only surroundings. The next morning, the neighbors found her room empty. Things were in place, but Sophie was gone. Now, if someone enters this apartment, they notice a strange shadow on the wall with a wide smile. And sometimes this smile starts to move.